Hi, this is Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards. Today I'm going to show you some of my 19th century cards. I think the oldest being in 1887. And most of these cards are in pretty good shape considering how old they are. So I'm going to start with the gold coin tobacco card. And this is of Cliff Carroll here in a BVG 2. Now these here are pretty thick stock for a card. The 143 card set. The pictures are pretty generic on all the cards. What they would do a lot of times is they would have the same pose but change the outfit, or a player would have a mustache or change the hat to distinguish between the players. On the back here, it's very faded here, but it has a little advertisement, and then on the bottom it says "Save the wrapper. They could be valuable." And what you would do was you would turn in the wrapper, or I read somewhere you turn in the card or the wrapper, and 25 cards would get you. You could turn them in for a pocket knife, a umbrella, a purse. So kind of interesting to turn your card in or cards in to get a pocket knife. So this is Cliff Carroll. Now Cliff Carroll, a little background on him is I read somewhere where before a game, during warm-ups, he took a hose and sprayed a fan. And the fan was so upset that he went home, and after the game at the stadium took a shot at Carroll. Missed Carroll, but hit his teammate. And I have his card. And that is Joe here. Joe Millville here. And hit him in the shoulder. He survived, had a long, mediocre career, but kind of interesting that a fan would take a shot at a player. So this is the Allen and Ginter, and most of you have seen these cards before. It's a 50 card set, 10 of them being baseball players. It's a multi-sport set. You would have shooters, pool players, oarsmen in the set. On the back here, you can see it says world champions and the different players or athletes. So this is the Allen and Ginter. And Melvey here was a third baseman, and he has a record. He's tied with 5 other players for the most errors in one game for a third baseman with 6. Now I can kind of see why he would have 6 errors, because he probably didn't use a mitt. But the other players that have errors, I think one might be even Bob Brenly, who used to play for the Giants. I think he might be one of them that had the 6 errors. Well, obviously he used a glove, where Milvey probably did not use a glove. So the Allen and Ginter here. Next, a recent one I just picked up, and that's the 1895 Mayo Cut plug here. Now these are pretty rare, definitely hard to find in high to mid grade, because the paper stock is kind of lacking the quality of the paper. Now I would only buy these if I was you graded, because what people would do is they would try to recolor the black border here, and on the back it's black, and they would fill in these marks here to make it the card look better, newer. So I would only buy something that is actually graded with these. Now this James Ryan here was actually a very good player. Cap Anson put him on his all-time team. He actually played for Cap Anson, so that's probably why he was on the all-time team. But he was actually a really good player. He's third all-time and career assist for an outfield behind Tris Speaker and Ty Cobb, which is saying something. He was a hothead. I guess I read somewhere where he beat up a train conductor, an umpire, and a writer in the locker room. So this is the Mayo Cut plug cards. Just really excited to pick this one up because they are kind of hard to find in any kind of grade. And the reason why this is a 1.5 is it has a nice little chip here, little markings there that definitely downgraded the card, but nice portrait of the player here. Now this one here is kind of interesting. This is the 1896 Mayo Cut plug again, but this was part of a game, and these were little die cuts. There was 28 die cuts that you would pick up in tobacco boxes, packages, and these were part of a board game in which you can get the board for free by mailing in to the company. And it was, I think this one's a Boston player. You can see it says be there. It would just have Boston and New York, and on the bottom here it says he's a runner, and other ones, it would just be a hit and out and so forth. And on the back here, it's definitely hard to see, but it has some information here, about the tobacco company. So a die cut here. And then lastly, this is an 1889 Old Judge of Robert Burks here. And a fantastic picture here. The color quality here. A lot of these you'll see are faded out here. A lot of them are hard to see the player. And this is definitely a set in which you would buy the card, not the grade. So this here being a 1.5, I'd rather have this than a 4 or a 5 that's faded out a picture. So buy the card, not the grade here. Now, these are, you have a tendency to fade. And this one here, just the quality picture of the player here. You can kind of see the ball here, and there would be a string there, and the player would pretend like he's trying to catch the ball. This is the largest set for a baseball card set. 500 plus players, 3,000 plus variations. So definitely hard to try to collect this particular set. And it's a blank back here. And the reason this is kind of graded really bad, 1.5, is because this was probably glued onto something, which, I can kind of care less. I was more care about the quality of the, the card on the front here. So some of my 19th century cards through the years, pretty cool tobacco cards. And thanks for watching. This is Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards. Bye.